Mantapa Sports Foundation presents South Indian cinema and the rise of the pan-India narrative.
By Shaji, Chen, Prakash, VB Tharakeshwar and MK Raghavendra will be the moderator of this session.
Come on, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the speakers on stage.
Friends, thank you for, thank Book Brahma for having invited me. So I'm MK Raghavendra. I'm supposed to moderate this discussion and also say a few words. This session is about South Indian cinema and the rise of the pan-Indian narrative. I'll speak about whatever briefly before I hand it over to my colleagues on the stage. Now, if you look at popular cinema, in India, you find that the Hindi film, that is a Bombay-based Hindi film, has been the mainstay of the national narrative in cinema, the pan-Indian narrative in cinema. For example, there's a certain, shall we say, a certain general nature of cultural thing of the Hindi cinema, which seems to address all kinds of issues across India. It is not located in any place. Of course, by default, it used to be located somewhere in the, what is called the cow belt, and later on it became sort of Bombay-based. But by and large, its concerns are national, and its narratives generally tackle every aspect of Indian history, contemporary India in some way or the other. See, for example, if you look at the early 50s, after independence, you find there are 3 or 4 concerns which are basically central to India. One was the issue of modernity. Okay, so one was the issue of independence as freedom, which is existential freedom of some sort. You're suddenly confronted with the freedom you don't know how to deal with, right? That aspect was dealt with by Dilip Kumar in these early movies of Dilip Kumar, right? Jogan, Babul, and Devdas, that sense of, you don't know what's ahead, you don't know, you're having an existential crisis. Then there was this thing of egalitarianism, which is Raj Kapoor by and large. And then there was the shifting identity of the Indian, with the independence, disempowered people being empowered. Devanand was the shifting personality who was always disguised and becoming other people and that sort of thing, okay? Now regional language cinema had a different purpose altogether. It was local. So you look, my familiarity was largely with Hindi, with Kannada cinema and Hindi cinema. In Kannada cinema, there was a local narrative, which was also, for example, there was both local and nation, regional as well as national, both of them. For example, the local, if you look, for example, at caste, right? One of the things about caste is stronger in Kannada cinema. I'm talking about the early days of Kannada cinema. It's stronger in Kannada cinema than it is in Hindi cinema. For example, in Hindi cinema, if a person's name is Sharma or it is Gupta, it doesn't really make a difference, right? Okay. A Sharma can marry a Gupta in Hindi cinema. In Kannada cinema, it's not really true. For example, Brahmin is a very closely defined category in Kannada cinema, right? Brahmin, for example, there is the Vokkaliga is another thing. For example, farmers are represented as Vokkaligas, that Kannada will be Vokkaliga. Okay, whereas a coffee planter is presented as Brahmin. There are all this kind of thing, you've got to read it. The main reason is caste in India is of 2 kinds, right? One is this Jati and one is Varna. Now, Jati is a local caste category. So local cinemas can deal with this local caste category. Whereas Hindi cinema being pan-Indian or spread out over a large area, you don't have this Varna, this Jati category at all. So there's a certain, caste-inflected local cinema. I'm talking about Kannada cinema. Not so much in Hindi cinema, right? The caste names don't matter so much. They do to some extent. But Gupta and Sharma won't make much of a difference in Hindi cinema. Whereas Gupta is actually Vaishya, whereas Sharma would be Brahmin. But it would matter in a Kannada film. It wouldn't matter in a Hindi film. Now the issue, as I understand it, is that you've got this new category of Kannada cinema. For example, let's say South Indian cinema would be like Bahubali. You would have something like KGF. See, for example, KGF has some things in common with the chopper film or whatever, what is called that, the hatchet. There was this kind of thing about the gangster running amok with this hatchet and, to a lot of these movies, including one by Darshan, I think, a lot of these movies. But KGF is something else. The KGF as a movie is something else. It's larger than life. It's sort of, it seems to be trying to reach a much larger audience in the local Kannada audience. Same thing with Bahubali. It's no longer that old Telugu cinema. It seems to have much larger thing and much larger ambitions. It's dealing with some kind of a massive thing of history. Okay, it is still somehow grounded in South Indian history in some way, but we don't know exactly in what way. So it seems to have got out of its local moorings. Okay, for example, Bahubali, RRR. RRR is a patriotic Indian film, right? About national heroes of some sort who originated in Telugu. So the purpose of this is to discuss this, what each of our panelists has in mind, and discuss this over a period of time. We've got, I think, about 50 minutes or so, no, 45 minutes or so. So, having said these few words, I will call upon Mr. Prakash to take over from me and say whatever he meant, continue the subject.
Good morning, everybody. First of all, thanks. Good morning to all the audience and all my colleagues on the stage. Thanks to Book Brahma for inviting for this session. So, Pan-Indian narrative. What exactly is the meaning of Pan-Indian narrative? Who decides what is Pan-Indian? That's a bit confusing. Not only because the current situation, because this whole thing has been very dynamic. If, in our lifetime, how much changes we have basically seen in the area of cinema, considering that we have reached a point and we don't know where it is going to go from here, how exactly that is going to pan out. So Pan-Indian narrative, is it decided by theatre collection or how widely it is basically screened all over India? Is it government and government's recognitions? Do they play a role? Or is it OTT? RRR, would have collected a lot of money from theatres, but Great Indian Kitchen from Malayalam, in a small film, much smaller film, basically became a very widely watched film in OTT. So is OTT deciding it? Or is it television? Or what is it going to be? So when we say that OTT, is it going to be the algorithm behind all these OTT platforms like Netflix and YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and all these things on which we have no control? Today they may support a regional film or a film of particular kind. Tomorrow they may suppress it because we have no control on those algorithms. So who is going to decide what is going to be Pan-Indian narrative? We know that there is a stagnation in the Bollywood industry, which is what being utilized or exploited by South Indian films. Now, if you look at, as I was saying, 30 years back when we were all younger people, when we were growing up with Indian cinema pretty much, or regional cinema, we had opportunity to watch only our language film. In Kerala, it is only Malayalam film. In Karnataka, mostly it is Kannada film. Karnataka had slightly more Hindi film influence, but Kerala was completely protected market. And that Malayalam film was never seen anywhere else other than in some Doordarshan kind of thing. Then basically a lot of change happened. Television came, there was a longevity for the life of the film, but then it started killing B-class and C-class theater. You basically have a release and then in a few months you have to collect your money from theaters. After that, TV will continue to milk it. Then the filmmaking itself became digital. So then we started getting films in VHS tapes and then VCDs and then DVDs and then USB sticks. Then came the piracy. With the piracy, probably the reach of the film is a lot more, but the collection capability basically significantly diminished. You have to basically make a film which will collect instantly, and after that there is nothing. Right? Then came, TV basically started going down. TV was a mainstay. A lot of people, you make 10 lakh rupees or 20 lakh rupees or 1 crore from theater, maybe you will get 2-3 crore from television. So that used to be the equation. Then television kind of started going down. Then came the OTT. In all these changes, initially, it was basically giving a lot of opportunity for small films, regional films, or films with substance. So then, after a while, they will start suppressing it. So this is a consistent pattern, whether it was TV or it was the OTT, or now it is going to be AI, significantly AI-enabled platforms. It is going to be similar. Initially, all kinds of artistic film, academic films were basically bought by Netflix and all these guys. Now they are saying that to create their platform in India. So once the platform is there and people are already in, they started saying that regional cinema, we are not really interested. So we are mostly significantly interested in, we have a lot of content, English content, showing that to everybody here is our significant interest. Maybe after that, some Hindi films. Or once in a while, regional films to again get new viewers into the platform. So we can actually see that we are actually making a progress, and after that, we get homogenized. Now, we also talked about this in pan-Indian narrative, RR and KGF and Bahubali, and these kind of pretty much like what Bollywood creates. It's a similar kind of larger than life and content, which does not truly reflect the culture or the ethos of all these regional culture. The languages. These are the kind of regional films which is going to basically, if that is the case, we may not be able to call it really a regional cinema. So Bahubali is not really a Telugu cinema. Going forward, when AI is actually significantly coming into the filmmaking, the moment I write a novel, that will get translated into 25 languages across the world without any human intervention. Similarly, when an English novel is written, it is going to be available in Malayalam instantly without any effort from human effort or imagination or talent. Same thing is going to happen, similar thing is going to happen in the case of movies also. I make a movie, immediately it will get subtitled in all kinds of languages. It will get dubbed even with lip sync, perfect lip sync in so many different languages. You can even basically go to an extent of changing some of the Hollywood films when it is released in Karnataka. Some of the characters can basically become a Kannadiga actor. So these are the kind of things which is going to happen. That is definitely going to give an opportunity for us to go global, but it is also same time giving, posing a major hurdle and challenge for us. We have to fight with everybody in the world, not even pan-India, it is pan-world. So exactly where we are going, what exactly is going to happen, it all depends on how dearly we hold on to our culture, our languages, our way of talking, our humor, our politics, our issues. If we are not doing that, somebody else is going to determine what we are going to make, what we are going to see, what we are going to like. That's exactly is what is going to happen. I'll talk about more things later.
Mr. Shaji, okay, how would, since he has interpreted it a little differently from mine, see, my understanding of regional narrative, national narrative is, the narrative of a film is basically some reflection of addressing a public with their concerns in some way. That is my understanding. So he's interpreted, shall we say, pan-Indian narrative very differently. Who decides is the question, right? What is pan-narrative, pan-Indian narrative? My understanding of it is that pan-Indian narrative is decided in some way by the effect it has on the audience, what concerns it's addressing. Okay, so the 50s, 60s, 70s are all addressing different concerns. The cinema changes because it's in somehow a function of, shall we say, a function of social history in some way. So that is the way I understood it. Please, Mr. Shaji, can you tell us?
exactly we have no real clue how these things are functioning, in today's date. I've acted in one Telugu movie. Actually, they made it both in Telugu and Tamil simultaneously. Without it, could have been easily done with, like Prakash Paris said, could have been like dubbing, but they decided they want to keep it more original. So they took almost every shots twice. First they shoot in Tamil because the director was Tamil director. So first they shoot in Tamil, then the same thing we all have to perform the whole thing again in Telugu. But of course, with dialogues, scenes with dialogues. If there is no dialogue, then it's fine. Like that, they made a movie, big budget movie, and it was an utter flop. That movie didn't work at all. Telugu people thought it's a Tamil movie. It's looked like a Tamil movie. It's ethos, everything is Tamil. And Tamil people, the hero was from Telugu. He was not a Tamil hero. Telugu, huge hero of Telugu. And Tamil people thought it's a Telugu movie. So people outrightly rejected that movie. It became one of the major flops. And that producer, poor thing, he lost a lot of money in that movie. So we really don't know what exactly people want. Earlier, like Prakash said, when we started watching movies in my childhood, mine was a pan-Indian viewing. I started with Malayalam movies because I've born and brought up on the border district, just on the border of Kerala and Tamil Nadu. So I started with Malayalam movies, but immediately I started watching Tamil movies. And Hindi movies also used to show there, but I started watching Hindi movies. Then the film society culture came in. By the age of 14, 15, I started watching international movies, and those days there were no subtitles. People used to sit and watch. So what kind of movie and what is you are looking for is a big question. Yesterday I was sitting here when Adu Gopalakrishnan and Girish Kasravalli were talking. I was there. So they were saying that there's no art movie and there's no commercial movie. They say that everything is same. It's not that actually. There is a clear difference between these two type of movies. What for you are making the movie is the question. If money is your concern, you want to make a movie to make money, entertain people, and get maximum money, then it is definitely a commercial movie. But you are making a movie for your artistic expression, I think I'll call it as an artistic movie. But when both involve money, so you can say because there's money involved, so you can call everything as a commercial endeavor. But it's actually not so. So what kind of movie you really want to watch is the question. Those days, dubbing movies, people used to, hey, dubbing, I don't watch. But now, as rightly Prakash Barai said, people watch, they have no problem. They watch Malayalam movies in Marathi, in Telugu. You select your language and watch. Of course, it is so far up like Prakash said, the technology is evolving, lip sync and all going to be perfect hereafter. But till now, I couldn't see that perfect lip sync and all when you check in other language. But people least bothered about all that. And cultural ethos is like, if you say Pathir Panjali was the greatest pan-Indian film, but it was the greatest local film. So it is otherwise, and it is not pan-Indian, it's pan-world, one of the most celebrated Indian movie all over the world. So you show your local culture, your local ethos, local stories. It was always like that. Tita Shaktir Nadirnam, Ritik Atak's movie, it talks very deep-rooted Bengali village life and village culture. But we had no problem in watching that movie. So this pan-Indian thing is mainly, as Sir said, it's like commercial aspect is the main thing. Make more money, make more people watch. People from Pakistan and Bangladesh and all, they watch Vijay movies and Allu Arjun movies and all. So it's entertaining movies. They just want time pass. They want to look at them mostly on their mobiles. They are watching. They are not going theaters. That's like that. Even people watching a movie on a laptop itself was reduced considerably. People are watching these pan-Indian movies and all. They are not really going to theaters. Otherwise, if people are going and watching all the movies in theaters, then the kind of the money the movies generate, and there won't be any flops. There are these huge movies with a lot of publicity, and hardly, I don't know whose story it is. Like Prakash said, Bahubali is whose story? What culture? Where from that the story comes? No idea. It cannot be called as a real Telugu movie. But It's like that. So everything depends upon what you really want to watch and what movie you are looking forward to watch. And all our viewing habits are all completely controlled by AI and internet. So it is for the audience to decide what we really want to watch. And watching any language movie is not a problem. We can always watch cinema. And it was the earlier days, it was language was the prime concern. I don't know that language. I've seen people saying that I don't know that language, that's why I don't watch the movie. That is completely gone. So one way it is good, one way it is really bad, because these huge movies which has no soul at all, just completely plastic movies are making huge money. So both is happening side by side. It is for us to look into it and decide what it is, what exactly we want. That's what I think.
Can I ask Mr. Tharakeshwar to give his version of the subject generally?
Thank you, Raghavendra and others. It was quite interesting. What do we mean by pan-Indian? And then there were two things there, pan-Indian cinema and pan-Indian narrative. I think pan-Indian cinema is something that the industry is using, but in the panel discussion it is pan-Indian narrative.
Yeah.
So I think Raghavendra focused on the narrative. So what are the narrative concerns of the cinema which we can call as regional or pan-Indian? So that was the case. And then the focus shifted to the production and consumption of or distribution of the cinema. It is not something new. In fact, we call it as Kannada industry, the art, Tollywood, Bollywood, Kollywood, Sandalwood. But actually the movement of technicians and the actors used to be there. But interestingly, in South India, as Madhav Prasad has argued, after reunification of states on the basis of languages in South, a particular actor becomes the symbol of that language. And he cannot or he should not act in other movies. He should act only in that movie, but the heroine could be circulated. So in that sense, a certain kind of linguistic identity was invested in cinemas that were made in Kannada, Telugu and Tamil. Not so much in Malayalam. That is a different case altogether. But there were movies that were made in Kannada which were already made in Tamil or Telugu. And in fact in Madras it used to be multilingual productions. Same movie will be made, as Shaji was saying. Actors are different, the heroes, but other crew members are the same. So in that sense, there was to be multilingual production. But somehow ignoring these networks and then the give and take between the various language film industries, we focused exclusively on the Kannada film industry, Telugu film industry, Tamil, Hindi, things like that. Because again, this overlap between the language and the language cinema and the linguistic identity. We couldn't tolerate Rajkumar acting in some other movie. That was the kind of anguish that you could see in Karnataka if he makes a move. And it is also interesting that this investment of linguistic identity in these actors, that value was exchanged for political gains in Andhra and Tamil Nadu, but not so in Kannada. That is a different story. But coming to that, now suddenly this pan-Indian cinema as a nomenclature has come up, and again it is in the context of commercial success of a few movies which are made either simultaneously or consecutively in one of the South Indian language plus in Hindi. So it could be bilingual production or it could be produced in one language but simultaneously dubbed into other language. But I would like to go back, it has more to do with the kind of consumption pattern that is emerging today, and both the two speakers who spoke before me, Prakash and Shaji, highlighted that OTT platforms and then the dubbing and then the subtitling that has become now ubiquitous. Earlier only award-winning movies used to have subtitles. That is also quite interesting. Award-winning movies Now we own it up as the identity of Kannada. Girish Kasaragolli, an icon of Kannada culture and film industry. But actually Kannada film industry never interacted with Girish Kasaragolli. They were serious, it is not for Kannadigas, it is for the global audience. Because they were all mainly shown in festivals in other countries rather than in India. That was the kind of accusation that we had. So in that sense, art movies were recognized, valued, but the industry did not engage with it. That was an important thing. Now, let me go back to a film like Sairat, which came around 15 years back. It was a Marathi movie. It became an instant success across languages. Why? That we need to think about. I think for me, it is a pan-Indian cinema in that sense. Though it was rooted in Marathi, and it was not an art movie as such, or made for a festival circuit, nor it was a completely commercial movie, because Marathi doesn't have that kind of commercial thrust to the movie making as it is in other languages. But Sairat became a huge success. And it was replicated in other languages, mainly in Hindi, in Kannada. But all the remakes of this movie in other languages was a flop. So the theme was the same, but the Marathi movie became a pan-Indian success, but other language movies based on Sairat did not become a success. That also we need to think why it is happening. And then now, we don't know which film we are watching in OTT platforms. And especially after pandemic, now everybody is glued on to OTTs. And it is not that you need to take a subscription of one OTT now. And there are Airtel, Jio, which are helping you to access multiple OTT platforms through subscription to their telephone subscription. So in that sense, everybody is watching all kinds of movies. And sometimes I don't know which movie I am watching. Because it is in my language, I can choose my subtitle, I can choose my language, but the movie is there. Sometimes I need to go back and find out originally in which language this movie was made. So in that sense, there is not only pan-Indian, as you were saying, Prakash, there must be a pan-global tendency. If you look at OTT platforms, most of the movies which get projected and supported are crime-based and supposed to be also based on real incidents, either historical or even contemporary. So certain kind of taste is being molded in OTT. Can we call that as pan-Indian and pan-global? Or as we go back to earlier movies, as you were saying, a Bengali movie by Rutvik Ghatak, we will watch it. Or even Girish Kasaragolli movie, anybody could watch it. Or let's leave aside KGF and RRR. Let us look at another movie which became an instant success from Kannada, from coastal Karnataka, rooted in coastal Karnataka, Kantara. It was also a huge success. Just as it was released in Karnataka, I had not watched it. Some of my old students who are working in Telugu press, they called me up and they started asking me questions about what is Kantara about, what is this Bhuta. And their interpretation of that is entirely different from the interpretation this happens. So a movie that could lend itself to multiple interpretation, both at the local level as well as at other levels, non-local levels, can we call that as pan-Indian? Or it should be only a commercial success, will that determine pan-Indian? Or if you have locations, the movie moves in different locations. KGF, it happens in Bombay, it happens in KGF, it happens in Bangalore. If the location is in different parts, can we call it as pan-Indian? Or if it has actors drawn from multiple linguistic industries, can we call it as pan-Indian? So these are the questions that we need to look at. But as I said, in literature or in these visual artifacts called cinema, it can appeal simultaneously to the local as well as to the non-local. then can we call it as rooted as well as universal. So universal and the rooted values in a cinema need not be conflictual. They could coexist simultaneously. Now the question is, some of these commercial success, do they appeal to both as well as to the local as well as to the non-local? I think that is the question that we need to discuss. And what kind of taste it is molding. These kind of rise of these kind of narratives, number one. Number two, the technology and how the technology is influencing our aesthetics, what we like, what we don't like. I think these are the issues that we need to discuss. Thank you.
This is an interesting thing about, local cinema and a pan-Indian national cinema. If you take Mani Ratnam's Roja, for instance, okay, it has been made in both Tamil and it has been dubbed into Hindi, right? How the meaning changes when you dub it into Hindi. There's one scene in Roja, very interesting scene, where this woman speaks only Hindi, only Tamil. Okay, there is this scene where her lack of understanding of Hindi is made a big issue in the Tamil version, right? There is a scene in which the husband has been kidnapped and she is angry, okay, that husband has been kidnapped and the army is doing nothing. She catches hold of a man, a soldier, by his collar and screams at him in Tamil, right? When she screams at him in Tamil, the meaning is, okay, I don't speak your language, we are not from here, we are from somewhere else, okay? He has given his life for the nation, but the nation is doing nothing for him, okay? It's actually a sort of local thing. It's a regional message which is being passed on here. When you dub the whole thing into Hindi, the entire meaning changes, right? You scream at him in Hindi, you already speak his language. Okay, you're already speaking a language which is called the national language in some way. So there is actually the Hindi version and the Tamil version mean completely different things, right? So this is the thing. So when this pan-Indian thing has always been there in some way or the other, at least, local, regional language cinema, part of it has been made for local. For example, Mani Ratnam is a national filmmaker in some way, whereas, people like, Kamala Hassan can act in Hindi movies, but not so Rajnikant, okay? There is a certain thing. There's a certain Dravidian personality in Tamil cinema, which cannot be used for Hindi cinema, okay? Because by and large, Hindi cinema, the protagonists are upper caste Hindu, that seems to be the thing, that they have to be upper caste Hindu, all protagonists of Hindi cinema, but that is not true of South Indian cinema, where there are regional dominant castes, and that look has to be a little different, okay? Now I want to ask Shaji a certain thing. The success of RR internationally with critics, I mean, it has to be a misunderstanding of that movie for that movie to be such a hit, abroad, okay? How is RRR, okay, a success with critics in Sight and Sound, in New Yorker, in New York Times? How exactly does, forget about national cinema, an international thing, a critical success, it's called a masterpiece, it's called this, it's called that. I was not able to understand what exactly they appreciated about the movie. Can you give us some idea what you think it is?
You said Rajnikant can act in any other. Rajnikant is huge success in Japan. So we can call Rajnikant the pan-Japan actor maybe. So similarly, we really, exactly said, we really don't know. RRR, personally, I couldn't even sit through for 15 minutes. I couldn't watch that movie, and I don't know why they celebrated the movie. I really don't know. I have no idea why these things are, some certain things are working, and it was always there in cinema. We never know why certain things are working and why certain things are not working. RRR is a classic example that, even this music is so celebrated, and I really don't know. And I personally, I'm a music critic too. I've written a lot of books on music. I really don't know what was so great about the music of RRR, what was so great about that movie. But maybe they must have seen something really great in it. I mean, again, it's personal choice or preference or something. I couldn't sit through that movie, and I don't think that there was any great movie, and I don't think that was anyway, great music or anything. But a lot of people thought it's great. So I think my opinion doesn't matter here. I should keep it to myself and, watch the kind of movies I like to watch. That's the only way to go out. That's why I clearly told in the beginning, it is for us to decide what we really want. And if it entertains you, you think RRR is a great movie, so be it.
Why, my own theory about, about the ascent of movies like RRR and Bahubali today, the ascent of that in the All India framework and the concurrent decline of Bollywood. Okay. Bollywood is in sharp decline. The stars are all out. There are no longer any successful stars. My understanding is that the national narratives used to be 4 or 5 in Hindi cinema all the time. I think after 2014, the narrative is only one, which is patriotism, right? Okay. There's one patriotic narrative in in Hindi cinema, and every movie has to be patriotic in some way or the other. So, which means that variety is depleted. There are no narratives except the patriotic narrative, okay? And you look at something like Pushpa. Look, one of the important thing I find about, regional language cinema today is the valorization of the criminal, okay? Now, if you take the valorization of the criminal in KGF, you look at shall we say, the heroic Pushpa, okay? The heroic sandalwood smuggler in Pushpa or whatever, right? Now, the point is, why is this criminal and this sort of where on one side, the Hindi movie, you've got the policeman in Singham or something, right? The policeman is some great man, right? Now, here the policeman is the villain, a North Indian policeman, right? He's a North Indian, Banwarila, something, Shekhawat or something, his name is, in Pushpa, right? So there is actually, I also see South Indian cinema, this pan-Indian South Indian cinema as a kind of cinema of resistance. I don't know where, there is some, subtle resistance to the narrative of the Hindi movie. What do you say, Tharakeshwar?
No, I think you and Prakash also pointed it out earlier. There's some kind of lacuna or vacuum in the Bollywood industry. I think now the industry itself wants this lacuna to be filled up because it's a huge distribution network. They can't survive if the Bollywood movies are failing. So somebody has to fill it up. And then they are taking up some of these things and then turning it into a huge success. But it also has an history. I think again Prakash pointed it out about the TV, rise of the TV. With the rise of the 24/7 TV channels, they had to supply 24/7 movies in Hindi. Because in Hindi, the number of movie channels were so many. And they couldn't sustain that kind of trend. They had to repeat how many times they can repeat. Then came the huge trend of dubbing the South Indian movies in Hindi. Earlier it was remake. If there is a success, like Singham also, it's Tamil, and then it became a success in Hindi. Pokri, Telugu, Tamil, Kannada, again in Hindi, all languages it came. Or Drishyam, the Malayalam, and then other languages, and then Hindi, now even in Chinese it has gone. So the remake was the mode through which it used to travel. Now I think it is dubbing that is happening because in TV industry, you can see Pokri in Kannada, but in Hindi language. Kannada Pokri in Hindi language. Telugu Pokri in Hindi language. Hindi Pokri also in Hindi language. That is wanted, I think, in Hindi. And Tamil Pokri also in Hindi language. So this dubbing, same movie is dubbed and variety is available to the somebody who is watching these movies on the television. So some of these faces of these heroes who were dubbed were already familiar to the people who were watching in the television. So it is not a big surprise when they lap up some of these movies, when there is other connection to it, when the industry is promoting it to fill up the vacuum in the Bollywood industry, and also maybe the narrative and the content and the grand visualization. That is also one of the important thing in Kantara, KGF and RRR, grand visualizations. These things also appeal to them. In that sense, it was a huge success, I think, in Hindi.
Yeah, I think if Kannada, Telugu, Tamil and Malayalam and all the regional languages, if they think that they are the next Bollywood, then we are not going to get any different film. So it's going to be different, but it is the same sensitivity, same kind of visualization and stuff like that. So what is of interest to us is the regional films, as we know, Is that going to basically become pan-Indian or pan-global? Is by being hyper-local, by being realistic, by being artistically minimalistic, staying that way, can we reach to a wider audience or not? This is not guaranteed. This is happening today. Like every new technology is actually taking us forward a bit and after that dumping us. TV has done that. OTT is doing that same thing. So we had a completely protected market. Nobody, no Hollywood, nobody can really come and basically take our audience. In that protected market, we had all these kind of films. We had Chomanadudi, we had Mukhamukham, we had Satyetre on one side, we had comedy films, we had, all action films and family films. Now, when we are going through this protected market to an opened market, opened and manipulated market, that is the concern. It is an open market, it is giving us a bridge to many other languages and many other, a lot of audience. But this manipulation of this algorithm, which you watch a film and, as soon as the film is ending, okay, if you had liked that, this is your film you should watch. They are deciding what we should watch. It is like exactly like the echo chambers that they are creating in Facebook and in other, in all these social media to make us just focus on certain ideas, certain opinions, and then, decide what we like, what we watch, what we eat, what we select, whom we elect. All these things they are basically deciding. Exact same thing is going to happen in media consumption. So question really is it a doomsday? I mean, is it going to be very negative outcome? After 10 years, what is going to happen? Are we all going to watch all the Hollywood films with Kannada flavor? Or are we really going to have Kannada films or Malayalam films or South Indian films actually appreciated all over the world, or all over India, or all over the world, if they are good? Probably the likelihood is somewhere in between. So our spread, our pan-Indianness, our pan-globalness really depends on how dearly, closely we hold on to our culture, promote. So we remember 30 years back, 100 Kannada films, 100 Malayalam films, maybe 150 Tamil films. We were really celebrating that, protected market era. That time, number of films coming in Marathi was one, maybe one in a decade, then one in a year. Now they are also Sairat, and their movies are going to international film festivals, winning national awards, winning, commercially successful. It's all because of how they approached that. They were really seeing that they were being killed suppressed by Hindi cinema right under, their nose. They were basically, Bombay is their headquarters of Bollywood, but they basically bringing subsidy, bringing, lot of support and lot of guaranteeing theaters. They really resurrected. Now they are really, created a golden era for Marathi cinema. Each one of our language is as big as European languages. We basically can decide whether we are going to watch the Western, commodities, the AI generated content and stuff like that, or are we going to push our culture, our politics, our way of life to rest of the world? This is what we are going to see in the coming few years, especially in the AI world. After 10 years, after 15 years, just like how we are basically charging our mobile phone to make phone calls, we will be charging intelligence from the Silicon Valley companies. Get some intelligence from OpenAI, get some intelligence from Google to do our editing, to do our sound, to do anything in the filmmaking. So we will not be able to even use our intelligence. We will be dependent on somebody else for the intelligence. In that time, if we have to protect our way of life, our culture, we will have to basically take all the Kannada films and don't give that to all these models. Basically, probably create our own models, and so we will have to, today Trump is actually putting all these tariffs. We will have to put some hurdles to protect our culture and our language and our cinema.
Just one question about Drishyam. Okay, it's a Malayalam movie, but it's been made in. Usually, Malayalam movies never got remade by and large. Okay, Drishyam, you have Mohanlal is one kind of actor. Then you've got Ajay Devgan, who's a completely different kind of actor. I mean, have you seen both movies? Would
Yes,
you know?
yes.
What is your difference between the Malayalam movie Drishyam and Hindi Drishyam?
I think Malayalam movies, there has been traditionally a lot of remake. Like, I mean, Manichitra Tar is another. And a lot of Srinivasan scripts have been taken to Hindi and other languages. Priyadarshan has done that a lot of the. Quite often, I mean, the minimalism or the rootedness in that culture, that is there in the Malayalam version. A bombastic version we get to see in Hindi. So obviously that is the perception. Somebody else is actually making these decisions for the audience. Audience is not making the decision. Right now it is the algorithm, but earlier it is the producers or the distributors or the channel owners. So somebody else is manipulating what we want or what we are going to like. We have to resist. We have to basically put in systems, institutions which prevent such manipulation. So,
to say something. Was interesting thing is about this character in Drishyam. He is like a cable owner or something. I mean, that kind of occupation you won't have in a Hindi movie. Okay, it's not a heroic occupation. It's not an occupation of you'll have a policeman, you'll have an IAS officer or some such thing in Hindi movies. Here you've got this cable TV owner. Okay, it's a very interesting thing.
One is we are looking at from south, obviously because we are from south. If we start looking at it from the why they are watching these movies, in spite of the manipulations, whether AI or the distributors, but there seems to be some kind of interest in these things. And also there's a lot of aesthetics changes are happening in what we call as Bollywood movies or Hindi movies. There are some of the movies which are very rooted now. Rooted in Bihar, rooted in UP, Mirzapur, the series.
plus two.
So we also would like to watch them. So I don't want to watch now Khan
Panchayat
working, but the small actors who have come from this UP, Bihar, and with those accent, not the pan-Indian Hindi accent, because none of the North Indians can speak Hindi properly. Only the South Indians who have studied Hindi in schools and learnt it from books, they speak proper Hindi. They speak Haryanvi, they speak Bhojpuri, they speak Bihari. That kind of movies are gaining traction now. Not only in theaters, but even in OTT platforms. Even non-Hindi people, we would also like to watch those movies. So there is some change in the aesthetics within the Hindi population is also seem to be happening. That is also maybe one indication that they are also ready to accept the non-Hindi movies and watch it now.
That definitely the technology or this algorithm, how it may be able, they may be able to manipulate it later. But today, technology is definitely giving a democratization. So somebody says that Shuddha Hindi or high caste hero and things like that. People are not saying that. It's
What is
somebody
pure
else taking
Hindi,
that.
pure Kannada, and all, it's another subject of discussion. Language, Kannada is the pure Kannada or the Kannada, some of the movies Kannada is the pure Kannada. We really don't know. I mean, that's again, we cannot just say that which is pure Hindi and that pure Hindi can be used in a very localized Hindi cinema. That's another question. One thing to add to what Prakash said, Denmark, Danish movies, now it's huge world over. They're very artistic and very nice movies. We never heard about movies from Denmark, some years ago. Like that Iranian movies, Iranian, now the place of Iranian movies is taken by movies from Denmark. I think we have to we need to decide what we really want to see. Opportunities, all these things are there right in front of you. AI is there, everything is there. You want to watch, RRR or you want to watch Pushpa, it's totally in our hands. So we need to really hold close to, our cultural ethos and the kind of movies which will make us understand better about life and make us a little more better human beings. That it's completely in our hand. It's all there. We need to choose. And the choice is totally in our hand.
We have to factor in one important thing, which is migration within India, right? So it's no longer like, in the last session, somebody was sort of talking about Bangalore, about the immigrant population in Bangalore. Some said, the point is what Bangalorean means today no longer means what it meant once upon a time. The same thing, people have gone from all over the place. Bihar is here, you want to get work done, that migration of populations, there is no longer this thing of rural public, okay, semi-urban public, the metropolitan public. For example, once upon a time, your horror movies of these, the horror movies, magic movies used to be rural and it used to be semi-urban. But now the point is the semi-urban people have moved to the cities in many ways in search of jobs. So the question is that same thing. Salman Khan would probably have been semi-urban at one point, but gradually when the migration is there, Salman Khan is marked by this ignorance of English. I mean, all his movies, if the other people always speak by English, Salman Khan's movies he'll pronounce confused as confuge, okay, to show that he doesn't know English. It's a standard Salman Khan trick. The point is that would have been at one point characteristic of the small town. But now because of migration, you find it coming everywhere. So we really don't know who is consuming these movies with subtitles and all that.
So that is becoming universal. Anti-intellectualism is now a fashion. Right? I mean, I am weak in maths. Me too. And hi-fi. So that's becoming, so the villains becoming hero and dumping down of all the character. That's actually becoming not just a small town phenomenon, but across the world. You can see the world leaders, quality of the world leaders today. So it's the exact same thing.
Okay, with that, thank you. Thanks all of you for attending and being patient. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thanks to all the speakers. And that was the session presented by Netkalapa Sports Foundation.